Viacom just reported its second quarter earnings. One issue surely getting lots of attention, the auction of some of Sumner Redstone's privately owned national amusement theater chains. The media mogul needs to come up with $500 million by October to slash debt at National and ultimately keep control of CBS and Viacom. So is Redstone's media empire in jeopardy? Bloomberg's Norm Pearlstine joins us now with his take. He was executive editor at the Wall Street Journal, editor-in-chief at Time before we got him, which is a great thing, chief content officer here at Bloomberg. So, Norm, I mean, do you think that Redstone just didn't see how weak the economy was going to get? I mean, to what extent the lenders were really going to put the screws to him?
Well, no, he didn't see how bad it was going to get. But Viacom stock is up close to 30% this year, and I think he's got more breathing room than he had last fall when he really felt squeezed.
Due to a margin squeeze that he did have to go through last year, I mean, he did have to sell off some stakes. Do you think that's going to happen this time around?
Well, he's going to have to sell off, of course, the theaters, and if he is forced to sell off, he'll have some non-voting shares that I think will be available to him. But I don't see any a possibility of his losing control of either company or of his changing the capital structure of either of them.
Does this beg, though, the bigger question? I mean, a lot of us in media talk about it pretty frequently. I mean, is old media dead?
Well, Sumner is 86, and he thinks he's a young guy, and he thinks he's in a young business. There's still some extraordinary assets within that company, everything from SpongeBob to Paramount, that are having some pretty good years. I think the hard part is the strong advertising component, especially at CBS, and that's going to be a struggle for a while to come.
What about maybe some of the power plays that are going on here? I mean, his daughter is a very reluctant, right, we could say heir, if you like, to his throne.
That's right, and the theater chain is what she's been most involved in for the longest period of time, and so it must be very painful to her to see him selling off large parts of that organization.
What happens with the power struggle between Viacom and CBS? I mean, there's sort of this known inside baseball between Moonves and also Doman, who really don't get along.
Well, I think that in lots of organizations there are heads of divisions who can be a bit territorial, but I think that each of them has a strong franchise and has, at this point, the support of Redstone.
So when you look at Viacom and you look at Sumner Redstone's empire, with your perspective, just what does this company look like, let's say, 2 years down the line?
Well, I think at some point you have to ask the question whether the restructuring that led to the split of Viacom and CBS either went too far or didn't go far enough. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of logic in terms of what the two companies do. But I think the real issue is whether the continued decline in advertising continues to be a drain on CBS, and if so, whether that might lead to further restructuring there.
I want to pick up on something you just said, Norm. I mean, could we see a reunited company?
Well, Redstone really doesn't have to seek a lot of counsel about these kinds of decisions. He really controls both companies. He's an inveterate stock player who loves having two different stocks to track. But at some point, that would be one way to go, and further atomization of both companies, I think, is equally plausible, but not so long as he's in firm control.
Hey, Norm, it's Michael McKee. I was just looking through the news release on Viacom earnings. Nothing in there about National Amusements and the auction. How important is it to investors? Is this going to dominate the conference call?
I think it will. The Los Angeles Times had a very detailed piece yesterday morning, and that really sent a lot of analysts to focus in on the theaters over the last 24 hours. Redstone will be going on that call at 8:30 this morning, and I think with the earnings coming in almost a penny above consensus estimate, with the revenues more or less in line with expectations, I think everybody's going to be focusing on the theater chain.
Do you think you could get enough in asset sales to kind of help Redstone along, to help Viacom?
Well, I think the bigger issue is how many theaters he has to sell to get the money he needs. He has really a choice. If he wants to sell significantly in the U.S., if he wants to sell the British theater chain, then I think he's got the opportunity to reduce debt as much as he has to.
Any ideas on likely buyers?
Well, private equity has shown an interest in the past in the theaters, but I think it would really, and I think there will be interest from them. Carlisle, my old home, was one that was heavily into theater chains, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the other PE firms are looking as well.
All right, Norm, thanks so much for stopping by. Bloomberg's
thank
own
you. Always
Norm
great.
Pearlstine.